Yola Town, the seat of power of the Lamido, an ancient city of pastoralism, scholarship and agriculture. The city gates welcome you to the home of the Fulbe, where proceedings in the royal court were conducted in the mother tongue, Fulfulde. The earliest history of Islam in the region can be traced to the 11th century, when Islamic traders and scholars established relationships with the rulers of centralized smaller states.
Islam was introduced into West Africa quite 200-300 years before the Islamic Jihad in Sokoto.
In the old days, the savannah regions of present-day Adamawa in northeast Nigeria were governed by independent Bata and Vari states for centuries.
It was occupied really by different indigenous people, but there was no established, centralized political entities. So there were tribal groupings, tribal kingdoms ruled by maybe chief priests, no established political authority. So this is the kind of scenario that we had in Adamawa.
By 1802, a wind of change was wafting through northern Nigeria. An Islamic revolution spearheaded by Sheikh Othman and Fodio. When the wind said, the Sokoto Caliphate reigned gloriously.
One of the first criteria of Fodio, that he ensured that all those that will carry his flag are those that are knowledgeable in Islamic knowledge and those that have the capacity to propagate Islam in Nigeria and beyond.
Othman Fodio was the genesis of his time, and then I gave out all these flags so that Islam could stabilize. And Islam did stabilize, because soon after the jihad, it was not traditional rulers or traditional leadership or royal leadership. Each one was a flag bearer, was an emir. Emir means emir. Amir in Arabic was bastardized to become emir in English. So that means leader. Amirul Mu'minin, if you remember the days of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was nicknamed Amirul Mu'minin, the leader of the faithful. So he gave out flags to emirs, leaders, to go and lead with compassion, with capacity, with dedication, with knowledge.
The overreaching ideology of the day was a monotheistic one against injustice and corruption. Sheikh Fodio, the Amir al-Mu'minin, commander of the faithful, forged an alliance between the Hausa and the Fulani for a jihad in northern Nigeria.
At the end of the jihad, he handed over most of the flags to the Fula, to people from his Fula race. And Fodio did not do that because he was an ethnic jingoist, no. He came to cleanse the society of un-Islamic practices. And most of the people who are his disciples in his entourage were Fula. And they were educated. The people he could trust that yes, they could provide leadership, they could provide guidance, they could provide direction, for the people to cleanse the society. So that was it. But the only man who was a non-Fula, Yakubu of Bauchi, was among the entourage. But he could be trusted with knowledge, with capacity, with leadership potential. He was installed.
Fulbe clan leaders such as Ardo Gamawa of Rai, Ardo Jobdi of Bundang, Ardo Hamman Dendi of Banyu, and Ardo Hamman Sambu of Tabati chose emissaries to Sheikh Othman and Fodio. Modibo Adama, the land one, was selected to lead the delegation.
They decided to form a delegation to go to Sokoto, and amongst them was Modibo Adama, who was the youngest amongst them, and his clan happened to be the smallest because the other clans were bigger and wealthier. But they took him because of his intelligence, his wisdom, his knowledge about the wider world.
It was the Sheikh himself who chose Modibo Adama as leader Fombina, leader of the South. Before now, wealthy and influential Adon had served as leaders of Fulani clans. The installment of a territorial leader was Sheikh Othman then Fodio's making.
If you look back at the point where Modibo Adama himself took the caliphal flag from Sheikh Othman bin Fodio in the early days of the jihad, the mandate was, I'm handing over this flag to you. Go and become the emir of the Southern Emirates. Meaning the Southern Emirates south of the Sokoto Caliphate. At that point, it was clear to everyone that the Southern Emirate was Fombina. So it was clear, the clarity was there. Fombina meaning south in Fulfulde. South of where? South of the Sokoto Caliphate. So it was clear that from the beginning that Modibo Adama was going to lead the largest and most heterogeneous emirate of the Sokoto Caliphate. There was no such emirate in the whole of Sokoto Caliphate that was as large and as heterogeneous as the Fombina Emirate. So from day one, when Modibo Adama took over, he knew that he was going to face this issue of diversity. So he was prepared, because he was a man of knowledge, he was a man of integrity, he was highly, highly respected. In fact, that was what necessitated him being mandated to go and collect the caliphal flag on behalf of other seniors of him, in the emirate at that time. So when he came, he took over leadership of an emirate that transcended from the hills of Gwoza in present-day Borno State to the fringes of Tamia in Cameroon, to the borderline of Bagirmi in Chad Republic, and to the far reaches of even a substantial part of Central Africa. 4 countries into one. There is no such emirate of the Sokoto Caliphate. So Modibo Adama laid the ground.
When Modibo Adama returned in 1806, he set up his military base in Gurun for a local government area of Adamawa State.
Gurun, in the history of Adamawa, is the town where Modibo Adama first settled before he moved on to Yola. And it is a very important town because Gurun settled before Yola. And it was from Gurun that Modibo Hamma sent his brother, junior brother Modibo Adama, to go to Sokoto to receive a flag. Because of that allegiance and the trust within the Modibes by then, it leads to the success of the jihadists, which made them to conquer a lot of places up to the Republic of Cameroon, of which up to now that mutual understanding and cooperation is existing. Because they are giving their loyalty and allegiance to the Sultanate Council. By then, even if they want to install a Lamido, they have to go to Sokoto and get the blessing of the Sultan before the Lamido was even turban. That is before the coming of the Europeans. And even after the coming of the Europeans, when Nigeria got independent, that relationship and cooperation still exist.
The first mosque built in Gurun, present-day Adamawa, still stands in Gurun town. It's also the home of one of the oldest surviving copies of the Holy Quran.
ولا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل وتكتمون الحق وأنتم تعلمون. Wannan Qur'anin da yake gabana shine Qur'ani na tarihi wanda ake kiransa da suna Shikunga, wanda yake da shekaru sun fi 200 a takaice. Tun zamanin da ake rubuta Qur'anai da hannu, kuma wannan ma fata ne ba kamar takarda yadda ake rubuta yanzu ba. To kuma an rubuta shi da hannu da kuma ƙira'a na warshi.
Modibo Adama finally settled in Yola in 1841. By 1848, when Moddubo Adama died, the Fombina stronghold extended over parts of present-day northeast Nigeria and most of northern Cameroon.
The emirate initially expanded far, far beyond the borders of present Nigeria. But you know, towards the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, the British and the German and the French came around that area, and they participated in colonizing the whole zone among themselves, in which case they took a large part of the emirate into a German territory, which is now present-day Cameroon, and then the other part was left under the British. So that is the first experience of this, the Lamidos.
However, British and German colonial rules ended the emirate's conquest and domination over the region.
During the colonial time, the Lamidos managed what was left for them is Adamawa, and the Adamawa of that time extended and covered the entire present-day Adamawa state, and virtually 99% or 80% of the present Taraba state were all under the Adamawa emirate of the colonial time, and that had been the situation up to 1961, when there was a plebiscite which carved out a large portion of the emirate into a new administrative unit, which is another province altogether called Trusteeship Province, which was later named Sadona Province. That province removed almost 9 local government areas of today from the old Adamawa province into that Sadona Province, that's 61. And then the situation continued like this until the provinces were abolished around 1975, 1976, and states were created, and the extent of the powers of Lamidos now were restricted to Adamawa Emirate.
Even though Islamic literacy still flourishes in Yola town, it is of a much more cosmopolitan nature.
The Bata people were the first to embrace Islam, to join him, and even assist in the establishment of Islam and in the establishment of the emirate.
Not far from the Lamidos Palace grounds lies the Fombina Palace Museum. Here, historical artifacts dating back to 2 centuries have been stored for posterity. Saadu Iyayola is the custodian of the treasured history. He took us through each of the descendants of the Shehus Lamidos historical background.
Modibo Adama died in 1848. His eldest son, Lamido Lawal, succeeded him. He was appointed in 1848, and he himself, he died in 1872. But Lamido Lawal also contributed towards jihad. He did it during his time, and he left a will before he dies, that if he died, let them not bury him in Yola. He don't want. He wanted to be buried at Namtari, one village after Yola, after airport here.
In Lamido Lawal's 24 years reigned, he consolidated power and expanded the Fombina Emirate. His father had subdued numerous chieftaincies and in their place carved out sub-emirates. Lamido Lawal's reign was marked by tremendous political, territorial, administrative and socio-economic development. His brother Lamido Umar Sanda succeeded the throne and embarked on administrative and judicial reforms.
Umar Sanda is a simple person. He just wants to bring peace through diplomacy, negotiate people who have grudges during jihad, and so on. So He ruled Adamawa from 1872 to 1890. He died. And his junior brother Lamidos Zubairu succeeded him. Lamidos Zubairu, very tough. For one, is the son of Modibo Adama, but he didn't ask for this throne. Okay? What kept him busy is a great malam. I appointed him as Lamido. He said, okay, he will accept it, but he will not leave his school. If they will agree, it's okay. When they agreed, then he took the appointment of Lamido as Lamido. Lamido Zubairu Kena. He was appointed in 1890, during his time that British invaded Yola on 2nd September 1901. So Lamido Zubairu left Yola in 1903. He mobilized people from Cameroon to come and fight British. Because he said British captured Yola because of Islam. They don't want Islam. That is why when they fired their weapon, first weapon, fall on the mosque. He sent 3 identical letters when he was at Marwa in Cameroon. 1 letter to Yola, 2nd letter to Namtari, and the 3rd letter to Gire. And he advised that they read this letter in the mosque on Fridays. So the letter contains that let them do away with Britons. They were here to bring the end of Islam. They don't want Islam. And they are not here to rule people. I will come back. We join hands and fight them. We drive them away from us. But if they overpowered us, I know where to carry you. Lamido Zubairu left on the 2nd September. But on that 8th September, the same month, he is the first Lamido to be appointed by British, Bobo Amadou. He was appointed on the 8th of September, 1901. But he was deposed and sent on exile to Lokoja in Kogi State. Why? Because during his time that they created Cameroon and they demarcated boundaries, international boundaries between Nigeria and Cameroon. So the people living on the border lines protest that most of their lands given to Cameroon. And the Lamido is the causer, he is the one who caused it. He sold his land to foreigners. Okay. So they want Lamido to be deposed. Okay. So that is the reason why he was deposed and sent to Lokoja. So after he left, they appointed Lamido Iya, the son of that Lamido Sanda. Okay. They appointed him as the next Lamido in 1909. In 1910, he resigned his appointment. He's the first Lamido and the only Lamido who voluntarily resigned his appointment. Okay? Then, after he resigned in 1910, they appointed Lamido Abba, the son of Bobo Amadou, the one on exile at Lokoja. Lamido Abba, the son of Bobo Amadou, took over from 1910 to 1924. It was during his time that he requested for the release of his father, which they did, and to transport him back to Yola, which they did. He housed the father at one place we call Lamido Zubairu Education Center, Yola. And the father died, they buried him there. Okay? Lamido Abba died in 1924. Then Lamido Maigari, who was the district head of Nasarawa Jada, came down to Yola to condole the people over the death of Lamido Abba. He was successfully being appointed as the next Lamido. From 1924 to 1928, he ruled for only 4 years. He died. And after him, they appointed Lamido Mustafa, the son of Lamido Abba there. Lamido Mustafa is the grandfather of the present Lamido. Okay? Lamido Mustafa was appointed in 1928. And in the same year, he established a primary school, the first Lamido to establish a primary here, the first primary school. And they named the primary after him, Mustafa Primary School, Yola. Even today, it maintains the name. Mustafa Primary School. So Lamido Mustafa ruled from 1928 to 1946, he died. They appointed Lamido Ahmadu, the son of this Lamido Maikari. Lamido Ahmadu was appointed, but due to some misunderstandings between him and members of his council, when he traveled to Kaduna for meeting, as the governor summoned the meeting for all chiefs, he went to Kaduna. After him, in absentia, they deposed him. They removed him. So they informed Kaduna, when you finish meeting, don't allow Lamido Adamawa to come back, because he was removed. And then the following day, he was removed on the 25th, and on the 26th, they appointed the next Lamido, Aliyu Mustafa. Late Lamido, the father of the current Lamido. Aliyu Mustafa was appointed on the 26th July 1953. The longest serving Lamido in Adamawa emirate. The museum actually is managed by the National Commission for Museum and Monuments. As we see this picture, showing the day when we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the late Lamido Aliyu Mustafa. Lamido Aliyu Mustafa was the 11th Lamido of Adamawa Emirate. He was appointed on the 26th of July 1953, and he was installed. Installation ceremony took place on the 24th January 1955. So this picture representing his 50th anniversary on 2003. You see this al-kebba, the Lamido used on that occasion, was the same al-kebba he used on his installation day, on the 24th January 1955. The same al-kebba he used in 2003. This picture here showing Lamido before his installment as Lamido of Adamawa, when he was a police officer in charge of some divisions. He worked in several places before his appointment in 1953. This is the picture of his mother of Lamido Aliyu Mustafa. The Queen Mother, also a member of the royal family. Do you understand? She's a member of the royal family because Abba Sarkiyamma is her father. And Abba Sarkiyamma is the son of Hamawa Ali Kura. And that Hamawa Ali Kura is the son of Mallum Bakari. Bakari is the son of Moribo Adama. That made her to be a member of the royal family before she married Lamido Mustafa. You understand? And Lamido Mustafa married her and they got this child, Lamido Aliyu Mustafa.
Lamido Aliyu Mustafa was called a man of peace. That's the foundation of any development. He was a man who was able to live together with all people from different backgrounds, irrespective of ethnicity or religion, because Adamawa is a mini Nigeria, it's a vast territory. And he became Lamido at the age of 32, very young age. And he was able to, with the guidance of his counselors, he was able to, go through the storm and become a good leader.
An sa fitila a yola a zamaninka, an kai famfo a yola a zamaninka, an kai kwalito a yola. Baba a zamaninka, ga sojoji a yola. Baba a zamaninka.
And these items here was given to Mulami Ali Mustafa during his 50th anniversary when he was the Chancellor of ABU Zaria, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. So at Zaria they prepared this and sent for him, even with this allo. And then the box here was served to Lamido Zubairu during his time, like they are bribing him. Okay, so that he can go by Germans instead of British. Okay. So he refused the box, though an empty box brought to us. We don't know the contents of it, what's inside. And the cup here, the turban, was the last one used by Lamid Ali Mustafa before he dies.
His Royal Highness Dr. Muhammad Barkindo Ali Mustafa is the 12th Lamido of Adamawa.
He was prepared educationally. He was prepared in terms of managing affairs in royalty, because he has been with his father as Shiroma for 30 long years. That's not small.
Some of his milestone achievements in the last 10 years include promoting peaceful coexistence and defending the faith. Sarayelwa, a historical compound in the Fombina, has housed many Lamidas. Its current residence is the Crown Prince of the Fombina, Kaurang Adamawa, Mustafa Aliyu Barkindo.
Sarayelwa is part of the history of Adamawa because this house was created by Lamido Bobo Amadou. He is the first occupant of this Sarayelwa. I'm the 7th occupant now. Yeah. When he created the house, he used it as a buffer or as a transitional house for a prince before becoming a Lamido.
Members of the Emirate Council are well aware of the enormous responsibility they bear in service to the Sheikh's legacy, perhaps a testament to the leadership style and culture of the Fombina. Through history, many have reverted to Islam of their own accord.
Naga wato waɗanda suka musulunta da ladabi da biyayya gidan na ya musu. Naga wanda ba su musulunta da hankali ba sai da ƙarfi sun bi kuma suna nan yanzu.
The Lamido Adamawa currently serves as the Grand Patron of Tabitul Pulaku International, a pan-Fulbe cultural association fostering the heritage of the Fulbe and Islamic values. Today, artisans, trade and commerce flourish in Yola just as pastoral and agricultural pursuits. In the annals of history, cultural artifacts, historical monuments and the palace walls, the story of Sheikh Othman Fodio and Modibo Adama remains a cherished legacy.